Welcome back to the new episode of Inexperienced. Today's guest is a content creator and a founder, Prakash Kafle. He's based out of Kathmandu, which is in Nepal. First of all, if you're planning to go to Nepal for having fun or traveling, I think this episode will help you figure out some shit. Like whether you need to go to lake or maybe mountains or like temples, whatever that is your thing. Like इस episode से उसमें तो help जरूर होगी. So watch out for that. But like we talked about like the places and the food and the art of I think in Nepal, whether it's Buddhism or Hinduism, how they see the culture में क्या होता है and what's the pieces of art that are probably underrated or food that are underrated. So that were the things that we talked about in these conversations. I'm glad that I made a new friend from Nepal. So I think you will enjoy this episode, I guess. Like I think you will do. So the episode begins in three, two, one.
Okay, sure.
So
No worries.
yeah, yeah, cool. So okay, let me start over. Okay, will that be cool? So I was saying that you said that you belong from the same district as Mount Everest, and so like how does it like Nepal looks like how's upbringing looks in Nepal? Like, basically,
Yeah,
that was the
okay.
question.
I actually belong to the district of Mount Everest. That's the district is
What it
Solukhumbu.
is called, by the way?
It's Solukhumbu.
Solo.
Solo
Okay.
means the place, and Khumbu means the Himalayan region. So the name
Understood.
comes from
Okay.
that thing. So Solukhumbu is the district where I
Okay.
was born, and I was
Mm-hmm.
brought up in the same district for around 2.5 years, and after that I moved to a different city. And so when I was born, there were no any telephones and all of those things as usual. And it was not a developed area; it was a total remote area. But my parents used to walk there, so I was born there. My grandparents also were from there, and I was born in that district. And yeah, the brought up thing, I think that was a totally normal thing. I was not fed up with technology and all of those things. It was a normal random village brought up. So after 2 years, I moved to a different city called Sarlahi. That's a district in the Tarai region near to India. I think the closest border reaches at around 36 kilometers. I shifted to that place. I was alone. My parents were still in the same district of the Everest, and yeah, I studied 3 years over there, and after that, I again moved to the Solukhumbu, and I studied one more year. I got into a government school, and I studied fourth grade, and after that, I again moved to Kathmandu. And yeah, I
Okay.
got into Kathmandu, and I studied
Okay.
my second and third class. Yeah, I studied second and third class in Kathmandu, and I again moved to Solukhumbu. I studied 3 more years there to
Okay.
sixth grade, and I again moved to Kathmandu for seventh grade, and from
Yeah.
seventh to till now, I'm still here. And yeah, my parents are also already here, so yeah, it's going good.
So basically, you're looking forward to going back to that place again.
Yeah, I would obviously love to go, but I don't think that I'll be able to sit there and walk for a long because it's still
Mm-hmm.
remote. And although the
Mm-hmm.
transportation, the electricity, the internet thing is good over there, but still
Mm-hmm.
the infrastructures, the offices, the meetings, and all those things. I don't think that I would obviously work, but
Got it.
I'd love to go there and be there. In
Yeah.
my maybe in my retirement days,
Okay. Just a request, please like stay close to your laptop and phone so that the audio kind of catches better. Be comfortable, but like a little close to it. Huh. So, okay, like I listen to Joe Rogan, okay?
Joe Rogan.
Experience. It's also a podcast, and he talks a lot about Mount Everest and Himalayas and
I have watched, I
like
think, one of his
trekking and all.
podcast about
Okay.
Nepal and all the topography. I don't remember
Okay.
who was the guest over there, but in that podcast, but I have watched that podcast. Yeah, please do share.
Huh. So I was saying ki like he talked about a very serious stuff that a lot of people first of all like I think एक तो वो the place is remote but I think as more and more to some extent visitors are coming in or people who want to climb Mount Everest so overall the whole structure would have been gotten better right since like 20 years now in that sense right is that the case?
Yeah, I think the structure of Nepal, the infrastructure, the road conditions, the airs. Uh, 20 years ago, I don't think that it was to be called as a developed or a developing country, but now it's called a developing country throughout the world as of India, but as like India. But back then it was in around underdeveloped country. Although the exports were a bit high, a lot higher compared to the present condition of the export and the physical good export. I mean, nowadays the tech exports, the services export from Nepal is a huge thing, but back then it was not that good, I guess. But the product exports were a lot better. Nepal used to export rice and wheat to India as well, and the some countries in the Middle East and Singapore as well. According to my understanding, Nepal also used to export a lot of things internationally. But talking about infrastructure development and technology, I don't think that that was a lot better. Uh, I think the guest in the podcast visited here 20 years ago, right?
No, I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
No,
I think,
I
yeah.
think I think you and me are talking about two different episodes.
Uh-huh.
But my question, I think we are talking about two different episodes. But my point is that he like touched upon a serious topic, so that a lot of people who comes to kind of just basically climb Mount Everest don't ever come back, right?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Like so,
Rate on the Everest is also, I won't say that's a lot higher than compared to other mountains, but the death rate are also there.
I think Himalaya has the highest. Maybe I
No,
could be completely wrong.
in Nepal, there are among 10 highest peaks in the world, 8 of them are
Hmm.
in Nepal. And
Okay.
yeah, they are with the height of, I guess, the height is above 8,000 meters. I mean, there are 8 of the mountains in the top 10 list here in Nepal, and I think 2 are in Pakistan, I guess. Yeah, 2 are in Pakistan.
Mm.
The ninth and the second one. And
Okay.
yeah, talking about the death rates, the 10th highest mountain name is Annapurna, and throughout the world it is known as the most fatal mountain. So some of the mountains are really fatal, and in some of the mountains people are directly restricted to climb some of the mountains
Okay.
because
Okay.
there is no any chance of survival. I mean, there are very few chance of survival in some of the mountains, but
Okay.
Mount Everest is not a fatal mountain. It's not considered fatal, but yeah,
Okay.
death and cases.
Mm.
What I have heard is that from many years, I mean, from 10, 20 years, some of the dead
Mm.
bodies are still over there, and people still find some of the dead bodies and they're frozen. Although
Yeah.
they don't decay completely, but I guess they are still frozen. I'm not exactly sure about the frozenness or the scientific cause, but yeah, it is the case.
But it like it's definitely the stories that you have heard over like growing up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throughout
Yeah.
the life talking about Everest, going to news and all
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. 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 Mm. So I think I assume the district you live in, that's the main way to kind of reach the mountain, or is there another way? Another way?
No, I think the Everest can also be climbed through China, the Tibetan part of China. Yeah, and Mount Everest is
But I think majority people go through Nepal, if I'm not mistaken.
the route is considered way easier than the Chinese route. So the
Okay.
Tibetan route, I think China and Tibet are not completely same territory, but yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
are interrelated, I guess. And yeah,
Mm.
the Nepalese mountains share the plateau called Tibetan Plateau, where all the mountains
Yeah.
lies. So the
Yeah.
plateau is called Tibetan Plateau, although the
Mm-hmm.
peaks are here in Nepal, but the plateau is Tibetan Plateau.
Got it. God, have you watched Doctor Strange?
Not really. I'm,
You haven't watched Doctor Strange, no.
um, actually, I have not watched a lot of web series. So, for example,
No, Doctor Strange is not actually a web series, it's a movie actually.
okay, I didn't knew
Yeah.
that as well.
Okay, then like do you follow Marvel Studios? Like
Not really. I I find myself a
then okay.
lot behind in
No.
all of these things.
Okay, okay. No, like there's a scene in the Doctor Strange movie where the guy comes to Nepal for some finding some like meaning to his like he basically gets a broken his like what's it's called? I think not arms, but I forgot like the whole finger and palm part kind of gets broken after an accident. and after like being in America and trying to sort this out, he can't get any solution, and he comes to like Nepal for that solution. So I just wanted to ask that how the depiction of the whole place in that movie, how real or false that was. But you haven't watched movie, so
Okay,
that's
I haven't
not a
really
problem.
heard
No, no,
was that movie.
cool, cool,
So
cool.
yeah,
Hmm.
talking about the movies about the climbing and all of the mountaineering thing, I would recommend you. I think it's a documentary. Yeah, it's a documentary called 14 Pics. If you had,
I have heard about the documentary. I didn't get the time to watch it.
oh, it's
It's on my bucket list, but I haven't watched
it's a
that yet.
good one. I have I watched that.
Yeah, yeah,
It's in Netflix.
yeah.
It's a
It's
good one.
Netflix.
14 Pics. The
Yeah.
story of a Nepalese guy. I
So the guys from Nepal itself.
Yeah, his name is
Oh, I didn't know that.
Nims or something. In the documentary, he's called as Nims Dai. Dai means brother here in Nepal. The
Oh,
language,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
the
Got it.
elder one. Bai is the younger one,
Achha.
and Dai is the elder one. I think in India you call Bai to both the younger and elder one, right?
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Got it.
Okay, I'd also love to
Uh,
know about your story growing up and all of those things. So, if you could share,
uh,
please do.
sure, sure. So I belong from a city named Jamshedpur. It's in Jharkhand.
Yeah,
I
I've heard
have,
about
I
it.
have, by the, you have about the city or the state?
Both.
Both, really? Oh, that's cool. So, like, have you, by the way, like, before I go on, have you been to India before?
Never. I'd love to go.
Never. You will love to. Yeah, you will definitely have a good time, that for sure. But I belong from this city. My roots are from Bihar, but I've grown up in this state and this city. I've completed my like 12th from the school, like the school from my city, and I'm pursuing uh, my higher degree from like the city itself. The college it's in the city, but like the whole university is spread out in the whole Jharkhand. So it's like they have
Okay,
kind of
state-based university, I guess.
you can say that. You to some extent you can say that. So yeah, so I am also kind of covered through low altitude mountains, the green ones. They're not the like the snow ones,
Trekking and
but
all of those things.
yeah, yeah. Trekking, you can say that to some extent, but the amount, the altitude of mountains are not really that high. They are really low, very close to the sea surface. I don't have sea surface, but I'm using it as a metric. But point being, I have a lot of lakes around me. I have really good places filled with trees and nature, so that's cool. Even if you like यहाँ पे like the summer weather it's really hot here like the whole thing like you said that it goes like maximum like 38 or 39, right?
Yeah.
Like this week, yeah, in the city it was like 44, 45.
Okay.
So
I'm
yeah,
sorry
like
I
the weather is
disturb you over here, but the I think the highest temperature which went in Nepal was around 44 degrees. That's not in the city of Kathmandu, but there is a city near to India. I think it borders to India. That's called Nepalganj, and the temperature over there was around 44 last year, I guess. I think that is one of the highest records here in Nepal. I'm not exactly
that's
sure
really
about
high.
that, but 44, 45 is the highest record.
So like that's the like that's a normal for my city. That's like a
I can
normal.
just imagine that.
You can just imagine that. Or the highest are even higher. Okay, so the weather's really really hot and sweaty. But if you can get a chance to go into mountains, you will feel a little cold and all. So it feels great to be surrounded by lakes, bro.
I guess your state borders with the Himalayan states, Arunachal. I'm not
No. Mine is Odisha, Bengal, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, and maybe one city. I'm like forgetting the name of it.
okay. I
So
think
it's the male. Mhm.
I'm sorry that Arunachal I think is in the other end. I guess.
Yeah, it's the other end. It's close to Himachal.
Okay.
Himachal Pradesh, yeah.
Himachal Pradesh.
So, yeah.
I think there are a lot of mountains in Himachal. I used to watch a lot of bloggers from India. A lot.
Really?
I mean, yeah,
Really?
travel bloggers.
Who are your favorite ones?
I won't have a specific one, but I would consider Flying Best, the Nikhil Sharma. I think, yeah, Mumbai ka Nikhil, and Karan Sehgal. I have also watched his blogs. Saurabh Joshi, I occasionally watch his blogs, and
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
all the bloggers. I guess I've watched a lot of them, but I don't remember the names. But I used to watch a lot of them from 2020. At around COVID, I watched a lot of Indian vloggers.
Mhm. Your voice is like cutting, so please stay a little closer.
Okay, I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry.
Yeah, no problem. The point, I don't watch a lot of vlogs. It's just not my taste in content. Tabhi, I watch few of the creators. They're not really that big. Just only one guy who's big in terms of number. I would say Beer Biceps.
Yeah, I also
I've
watched.
oc- I yeah, I occasionally watch his vlogs, and apart from that, I don't really watch much of a vlogs. It's just not my taste in content, so I can't relate on that at least. But like the Mumbai Ka Nikhil and Flying Beast, I have heard that make good content as far as vlogs are concerned. So I think you have a good time watching to them.
I used to watch them a lot previously, but nowadays I don't get a lot of time watching those 20 minutes, 30 minutes vlogs. But yeah, sometimes.
30-minute vlog, bro. That's big.
Yeah, some of them, not specifically those two guys, but a lot of them. Actually, previously I was into the bike and bike riding culture, touring culture. So I didn't tour,
Mhm.
but I was interested into all of those content. So I started watching Mumbai and Nikhil because he's a biker. He was a biker. He used to be a
Bikes, I
biker.
have known that.
Yeah, he used to tour a lot of Indian places. So I started watching him, and I gradually into the blogging culture. I got to watch a lot of.
Got it.
Mainly,
Got
it
it.
was I was mainly influenced by biking, and I later got into lifestyle blogging also because majority of the in COVID, majority of them shifted to lifestyle. So that was the case.
Got it. Got it. Great, great. But talking about Nepal, one thing that I never got the chance to ask to someone because I didn't know someone from Nepal. Like, what are these stereotypes or misconceptions that make you angry when people talk to you who are not from Nepal? They like not every Nepal guy eats momos, bro. Like something like that. Is there anything?
Yeah, majority of
Yeah.
the sometimes when people talk about not really those who visited Nepal, but a lot of people. I have watched a lot of interviews and all of those street interviews. They say that is Nepal a part of India and all of the things. I don't think it's something to get offended about, but
Mm. Mm.
although as it neighbors to India, it is a neighboring country, and
Uh-huh.
India is.
Not necessarily getting offended, but my point being like you are just fed up of correcting them again and again. कि ऐसा नहीं होता है
Okay,
यार. In that sense, not necessarily getting angry or offended, but the point being like you just fed up of correcting them so many times.
I don't recall any of these, I guess.
Really,
I don't. Because I
really
haven't interacted with a lot of people from outside of Nepal. That may be the primary reason about that. But
could be, could be.
specifically talking about any stereotypes,
Hmm.
here we consume dal bhat, which means dal and rice. Bhat is called,
Yes. Even India में we call that same.
okay, in around UP and BR, I guess.
हाँ.
Yeah, okay.
To some extent, Jharkhand too.
Yeah, okay.
Mm.
We call that dal bhat, and it is our primary dish. In the morning also, we consume dal bhat and a bit of
Mhm.
sabji. And in
Uh,
the daytime also, in the when we
mhm.
consume snacks at the middle of the day, most of the time it's dal bhat. It's
Okay.
around dal bhat. So it's around rice and all those things. So people call that why dal bhat. And some of the YouTubers who travel to Nepal, and they just wear the T-shirt called dal bhat power 24 hour. And yeah,
Yeah,
I can recall that one. That is a common one. So
cool,
a lot of international tourists, foreign tourists coming to Nepal, European and American ones, they wear those T-shirts, dal bhat power 24 hour.
cool. That is cool. But no, like even India made in few states, it's like considered that. But like, don't you think like a lot many people consume a lot of rice in the morning? So do you feel like lazy or your whole day because that's too much carbohydrates? And if you're not doing a lot of physical work, you will end up feeling lazy. Do you feel that?
Previously, I was not experiencing that, but I was not constantly thinking about, I was not consciously thinking about that. But when you are saying this, I think for around a week now, I have been feeling bit lazy in the day. I mean, at around 12 to 1, at around 12 to 1. It's been going on for around a week. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
used to experience it previously, but I was thinking that yeah, I would just eat random stuff, maybe that may be a roti or any other things in the night, in a,
Mm-hmm.
as a part of
Mm-hmm.
dinner. So I think
Mm-hmm.
I was not experiencing that, but when you say that, I think yeah, we get a bit of lazy, or when we may feel we should do feel sleepy at around the day. Yeah, that is a huge consideration, but majority of them do not consider that, and that's not part of their consideration. I
Okay,
don't think
just
that
your
we
voice again
all
dropped.
consciously think about that as well.
Huh. Okay, got
But
it.
that's a nice
Got it.
reminder for me. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Like you can try next time when you have a breakfast.
Yeah.
Like start with something rich in protein. Try that. How then you try it for a week and tell me what do you think about it. Even I used to eat a lot of dairy products and like carbohydrate in the morning. Used to feel very lazy. Then I switched to more fat and protein in the breakfast. So I feel less lazy and more active throughout the day. It just it could also may not go with your gut. It's a possibility, but it's do try it out.
Okay,
It usually seems to work.
I'm sorry. As you got into the laziness and all of those things, what do you think? Your productivity goes increasing at the night, or it is good at the day? Are you a night owl or a morning guy?
I have yet to figure that out.
Okay,
Like
that's a
I
nice one.
haven't that figured out. Like I like to sometimes sleep early in the night and sometimes stay late. Sometimes I want to wake up early in the morning, and sometimes I want to stay sleeping late. So I've yet to figure that out. It's just like part of me is like more active in the morning, and part of me is more active in the evening. Like when I like to write and think, I usually prefer in the evening or night. When I have to hard works, I usually prefer in the morning. So
Okay,
it just I'm yet to figure that out.
I think
Maybe
being
I'm
flexible also works for you, I guess.
yeah, it works for me. It's been the way that I've grown up. So doing the more harder stuff in the morning and then a more chill type of work in the evening. So maybe that's why I'm just have been programmed. So I have to kind of discover whether am I a night owl or what's the other word called?
Morning guy, something.
Morning person. Basically,
Yeah,
morning
morning
person.
person,
Right.
I guess.
Morning person. Yeah, yeah. So I have to figure that out. I haven't done that yet.
I also
So
don't think
that.
that I have also figured it out yet, because sometimes I also, yeah, same as you, I guess.
Hmm, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So how's the like business scene in Nepal?
I guess we're getting into a business topic. Okay.
Ah, Prakash is like warming up, bro. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Go, go.
How
Yeah.
many? Yeah. I think we have just started only. Yeah. Let's
Mhm.
get into all of these things.
Oh,
And yeah,
oh.
excited about
Okay,
talking
okay.
about
No,
the
same.
college journey and yeah, business thing. I
Hmm.
think that is the really important for economy and for our growth as well, I guess.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, now getting into the business thing, the business aspects. Nepal, I think in technology, Nepal technology businesses, the tech stuff, the UI UX, the development, the software development, and all of the technical stuff. Nepal is growing as like India, I guess, in a huge space. I think India also have grown a lot in last 2 years in the technology and all of the businesses, mainly in the tech
Hmm.
businesses. Also, Nepal has also picked up in tech and all of those. But conventional businesses industries are not much. I mean, I think what I think is that industries are the basis for a lot of growth, mainly in the rural part, mainly the base. I think for the growth of the bottom line, the lower income household, I think industry is the primary thing. But industries are growing a little less, I guess, compared to.
Yeah,
Okay,
little,
I'm
little.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think the growth of industries are a little less, but the technology and all the service sector are growing massively.
Okay. So like which are the one like EdTech is the big one or like the IT solutions or something else?
Primarily, IT solutions are growing in a huge space, but edtech spaces are just developing. I mean,
Mm.
although edtech is not, I don't think that it's a huge space here in Nepal, because mainly, I guess, the language may be the primary barrier. although focusing on a niche market, or primarily we used to study majority of the students from the remote areas as well. They
Mm-hmm.
do not study in English. The primary language for the is studies is Nepali, and yeah, they are the government schools mainly. Although private schools are not have not yet raised to the extreme remote areas, but in the government schools, I guess I'm sure that the language will be the primary problem for growing ethic space. I may be wrong in this, but I think that language barrier is the primary space. And according to my understanding, what I think is that the big companies, the startups, are mainly focusing in the students, or mainly in the ethics space. They are mainly focusing in the city, focusing to the city students, because I don't think that that is a good thing for those tech companies, because the city students, the urban students have already got the access to the good education. The internet is good, and they can easily learn. But the main reason behind the lack of growth in the edtech space is, I think, the language, and they are not targeting to the rural kids. I think that is the main problem for the edtech space. And technology is growing massively. The production of engineers, I mean, computer and software engineers, is a good is in its good high, I guess.
Okay, that's cool. But like you said that a lot of companies are not really focusing on the rural kids, right?
Yeah.
So like, what are like I would say like some sense of social or economic problems that the startup scene or Nepal in general are facing?
Okay, the growth at around the social and all the you are talking about barriers, right? Mainly the barriers thing.
How like basically, how to some extent barriers or main issues that needs to be solved in your in your observation.
Okay, focusing on the ethics space, right? Okay, mainly talking about the social barriers. I think the main.
Like in all terms, just not edtech, like in every on a more macro lens.
Okay.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I think getting into the primary concern for the development would obviously be the infrastructure, the development of the roads. Many the transportation would be a major form for the major consideration for the overall development. I'm not saying that Nepal is not developed from its roots, but the
Mm.
development in terms of infrastructures was not good previously, but it's growing at a huge pace. I mean, the pace is really good, and I guess the growth in terms of all the all-round growth would be achieved with the development in transportation and all the infrastructures around communication, internet, and all of those things. But I guess the major barrier would be the here the brain drain. Do you know that, Tom?
Like
Brain
explain a bit.
drain means drain. That means
Acha.
the outflow of the manpower. I guess
Okay,
it's a
okay,
huge problem in India as well.
okay.
Going for the labor or the unskilled class, they are going into the countries like Middle East, and some of the American, or some in the Latin American countries. Mainly, they are going as a labor class. So that is also a huge problem for in terms of the development, the brain drain. And I think it's a huge problem in India as well. Because I was watching a video by
Mm-hmm.
Zoni
Yes,
Harris.
yes.
I think he
Okay,
made
okay.
the video about the Qatar World Cup and the all brain drain things here in Nepal and in India. So I
Okay.
think the lack of manpower, the young manpower, is also, I think it's a major problem for the development. But um, overall, talking about the latest economic growth, I think it's going a lot better than it was in the previous decade or the previous decade. But yeah, it would obviously take time, but it's growing at a huge pace. What I would consider in that.
Got it. Got it. So that's definitely a good news for like the whole scene, right?
Yeah. obviously.
Like things are
The
moving on.
development in terms of technology and the infrastructure development,
Mhm.
that's really helping the industries. The manufacturing of motorbikes, vehicles are also going
Yeah.
great, and mainly the service sectors and the export or tourism is the main pillar for the Nepalese economy. The primary pillar is tourism.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Just hold on a second.
Sure, I'll also just get back in a second.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, I think tourism really plays a big role in Nepal's like overall economy. I would say, like, wouldn't be a lie. That would be safe to say. Like, it's a big chunk of revenue that comes out for the countries from tourism, right?
Yeah, tourism is the major aspect of the business, and also remittance is also considered a huge pillar for the country's economy.
What?
Remittance, which means the
Okay, okay,
money
okay.
which is collected from the people who are walking outside, their earnings mainly.
Okay. Remittance. Yeah, got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
getting into
Got it.
the other sources for the national revenue, that's agriculture. Around 60, a bit more than 60% of the peoples are directly involved in
Mm-hmm.
agriculture. Yeah, I think is that case in India as well, the agriculture thing.
Agriculture is big in India still. Like other things are evolving and like growing at a very fast rate, but agriculture still holds strong. Like in terms of revenue and all, like a big chunk of money comes from agriculture, and it's also they're also kind of uh, figuring out new ways to make money through agriculture, as like we're exporting things to like farther countries as compared to closer ones. Like it's not Nepal, maybe like maybe Pakistan or Afghanistan, but they're also moving to America or Europe, the whole continent. So the whole exportation of other agriculture things are like moving fast, and also but like IT sectors and transportation tourism are also moving forward, and they're growing for sure. But I think this is something that I've kind of learned, and I could be wrong here, but still I what I've kind of observed from going to different places in India is that tourism is still a very place driven business, very place oriented business. Like if you go out to like Taj Mahal, Delhi revenues comes Agra revenue comes from a lot from the tourism of people coming into Taj Mahal, right? Which might not be the case in Faridabad, which is a city closer, like it belongs in
To Delhi
like
NCR, I
it's
guess.
like not Delhi NCR. It's close to the whole place. Like comes out a part of Delhi as well, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm thinking it's still very place oriented as in terms of business. Like
Okay, I
Jharkhand.
forgot to mention electricity is also a huge form of revenue. It's not that huge
Okay.
with the rate, but it's growing in a huge pace. I mean, Nepal has started the export of electricity to India, and yeah, planning to export to other countries like Bangladesh is taking the route of India. So Nepal,
Okay.
okay. Uh, Talking about the exact figure, Nepal is the second largest country in the resources for fast flowing rivers. Fast flowing means which actually works in generation of electricity. So yeah, Nepal has been, it was not a huge thing previously, but it has grown a lot in last 5 years, and it has started export to the India and the neighboring countries, Bangladesh. It's planning to.
But how do you export electricity?
Okay, I also used to think that how can someone export electricity from
Yeah.
countries to countries to other
Yeah, yeah.
countries from through other countries? But
Mm-hmm.
the primary source for the export is high tension lines, which means yeah, the direct physical cables. That
Yeah.
is the
Okay.
primary thing of export. And yeah, Nepal used to import electricity from India, but it has started the export to India.
Okay. But so like so I guess if they're doing it physically, which like
Yeah,
you wanna do electricity physically as well, like dumb thing. But the point being like, but the area would be a little limited, I guess, at least for now, because how
export
long
thing.
the wire will go, right?
Okay, I think
The length of the wire will be limited to some extent, like to maybe to close states that are very close to like Nepal, maybe Bihar,
okay,
right? In that sense, UP also shares, I think, the boundary with Nepal, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
So
what I
maybe like,
okay.
mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Let me share. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Okay, what I think is that I think that goes around the world. I guess the same concept goes around the world. I guess, as for example, I have Nepal have a electricity line that is going near to India, the pre-existing electricity line. So Nepal
Mm-hmm.
put that electricity into that line, and it connects to the electricity line of India, the pre-existing electricity line. So it gets into the
Okay.
national transmission line. I guess that is the primary concept.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Now it makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
Here
But like, what
also
is the
the same thing
main? Mhm.
happens. For example,
Okay.
a new hydroelectricity project gets completed and
Mm-hmm.
it start producing electricity. Then it do not construct the new electricity line, but it connects to the pre-existing national high tension line. So it works that way here. I guess
Okay. So
that is
like, mm,
going on. I may not be
okay.
precisely correct, but I guess
Mm-hmm.
it's around that.
Okay. So like, what's the main source of like electricity production in Nepal?
The
Like
hydroelectricity,
hydroelectricity?
hydropowers, the fast flowing rivers.
Hydroelectricity.
Here
Okay,
in
fast.
Nepal, I'm not sure, but I don't think that there are any sources of electricity than that of hydroelectricity. Although there obviously is the solar power and all those things, but not the coal and
And
the
as big
nuclear
as,
things.
yeah, not as big as
Yeah,
at least
yeah,
hydroelectricity. I think the glaciers really
yeah.
play a good part in it, right?
The
Glaciers, yeah.
glaciers in monsoon,
Mm-hmm.
the electricity flow is really high, so it's
Hmm.
actually the electricity is hugely exported to other countries. It was my mom. She was calling me for last 3 or 4 times, so I had to pick. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
okay, okay, cool. Okay, cool.
Okay,
You were
where
saying?
was I? Okay, fast flowing rivers, the main sources, and the coal and all the things.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Got it.
the main source is hydropower and the solar
Mm-hmm.
energy. The second one, there are not much windmills, all those things, but the primary one is hydroelectricity, obviously.
Understood. Understood. So like, what's your taste in art?
Art. I
Huh?
was a lot interested into graphic designing. I still do graphic designing for. I've been working in a company as a marketer, so I do design some of the post. The main art thing what I practice is graphic designing, the primary one. What is yours?
No, art in my sense was like the cultural art you experience as a country. Like, जैसे यहाँ पे to some extent, like Punjabis have a certain way to celebrate their festivals, right?
Okay,
Bengalis have a certain way
okay,
to like celebrate their. In that sense, like how do you like how art comes into picture? Because
okay.
like
The
on huh,
okay, I think I got it. I'll try to explain. If not, then correct me.
huh,
The way you are asking. Okay,
huh,
the main form of art, the traditional art thing, there is Nepal is a huge part of Buddhism culture. So the Buddhist monks and all those they draw mandalas as the form of art. I'm still considering the art as the art. As a question, the mandalas are the primary art of Buddhist cultures. They draw small, minute details. If you can, then do search for mandala art, and those are the awesome art. They
mhm,
okay. I don't think that I can share over here, but yeah, mandalas are the awesome arts those Buddhist monks create, and it is a primary part of culture here as well. So the main streets around Kathmandu, the Newari culture is also a huge culture. Newari,
mhm,
if you have heard about Newari culture, it's the major culture of the capital around the capital city Kathmandu. There is a city called Bhaktapur. There is a city called Lalitpur, and these cities were primarily it used to be the resident of Newari people, and later a lot of migrants from around the country came into Kathmandu. But yeah, the art. Okay, now talking about the way of celebrating festivals, yeah, if you consider putting tikas and the way of drawing all those, I don't recall the name, but yeah, rangolis, I guess. Those are also practiced as the primary form of art in the culture near to the places with
mhm,
borders to India. The
mhm,
drawing and all the hand drawn arts are the primary arts what Nepal would consider, and the primary export also revolves around galanchas and carpets. Of they make art in those carpets and all of those things, the designs, and those are the primary ones. What I recall,
Okay.
constantly recall, instant recall is.
Okay. Hmm. So like, have you been to like places? I think you would have, but like still like a Pashupatinath Mandir.
Yeah,
Have you ever been to that?
in around I guess 1 kilometer from where I am right now.
Okay, that's cool.
I
That's cool.
do visit
So
there regularly, I mean,
okay,
once or twice a week. There is
okay.
a special arati which repeats every day, which
In the
going
evening?
every day. Sorry, yeah,
It happens in the
it's being
okay,
conducted
okay.
for around 16 or 17 years regularly without leaving a single day. So that is a
Hmm.
major attraction for the visitors to go there. And still, the Pashupatinath temple, the whole religious aspect, the Indian culture thing that revolves around that. And um, I can see a lot of Indian number plate cars around Pashupati. A lot.
Okay.
I can see a lot of them, mainly from Delhi, UP, and Bihar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Easily UP and Bihar. So like the temple is of which god? I'm not aware.
Shiva.
Shiva. Okay. Shiva. God. So like so in like in Nepal, what's like the art? It's like in India, if you go to certain temples, they have carved out like
Yeah,
sculptures of gods through rocks. So is that the case with that temple too?
lot of those carved, the stone carved, mainly the carving in the stone, and yeah, the art of the sculptures of gods and goddesses are obviously there, but
Hmm.
the drawings in wood also. Wood is also a primary
Okay.
part of culture. Yeah, the wood
Oh.
carved drawings and pictures about. I don't call that pictures, but the model of the gods and
Uh,
yeah, in Pashupatinath only there are more than I guess 500 small
oh.
temples in the area of
Okay.
Pashupatinath only. There are,
Okay.
it is considered that there are around 500 small temples.
Hmm.
Together, there are around 500 small temples in around the Pashupatinath temple only. So, in every temple, it holds a different identity, it holds a different importance. So, it's a quite used part of art and the sculptures, the drawings, and the stone carvings, wood carvings as well. The primary things.
Got it. Got it. So, like, so I just looked upon, I was just looking for the cool locations in Nepal to talk to you about. And I was like, and I'm gonna tell you the name, and I might pronounce this
Okay,
wrong. You
okay,
have to
no worries.
correct me.
That happened.
It's Fiwa Lake.
Pokhara. It is situated, yeah.
No, it's like, it's Phewa.
Yeah, Fewa Lake, it's situated
Fiwa
in the
Lake.
city of Pokhara. Pokhara is a major tourist attraction. Yeah, Pokhara is
Okay.
a major tourist attraction. A lot of Indians as well as international tourists. It's a primary tourist attraction in Nepal after Kathmandu and the
Okay.
Pashupatinath and all the religious things. Pokhara is
Hmm.
a primary attraction of people. Recently, a regional international airport has also got started in Pokhara for all that tourism and all this stuff, and it is a huge thing. Pokhara, I had never visited, but with the college tour I went to Pokhara last year only with my friends, and yeah, it is a major tourist attraction. Mainly the name you called, that's Fewa Lake, and it's situated in the around the center of Pokhara city, and it's a major attraction. The boating thing, all that. That's a major primary attraction for Pokhara, and paragliding, all the hotel culture, all the night culture, all of those things, bar and all the casino.
Cool. So, sorry. I was thinking, like, so you never been to that lake
I have
before?
been to that lake. I have, yeah, last year only.
Or last year only? Okay, sorry. So, like, how that is it really different from the photo, or is like the same?
It's completely same, I guess.
And like the water is very clean though. Like I noticed that it's very
That
clean.
may not be the exact case, although water is clean, but it's not that clear. I mean,
Okay.
photo maybe
Mm-hmm.
edited one, all of the things. But
Okay.
yeah, the place is completely natural, and yeah, water may not be clear, but it's clean. What I'd say is that. And yeah, it's
Okay.
mainly focused for mainly famous for boating, and there is a temple in middle of that lake.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
okay.
that is also a major attraction where people go, and there is small island in between that lake, and there is a temple, so that is famous for that as well. A major
Okay.
part of
I
tourist
think
attraction of Pokhara.
like I think like that's I think that was the third or second, I guess, the photo that popped up when I
South for
was
Nepal.
searching for like Nepal. Like out it was after Pasuparinath Mandir
Major
that still is
attraction, major attraction of.
that seemed like at the top. But so like in Nepal, like I know it's a very majority people I think follow Buddhism. So
It's
like is it
Hinduism.
everyone? Huh?
It's Hinduism.
Not
The
Buddhism.
major religion is Hinduism.
Okay, not Buddhism.
No, I think
So
around
like
20% is. I'm not exactly sure, but I think around 20% is follow Buddhism, and around 80% is are Hindus.
okay, okay. So like in Buddhist culture, do you have like temples and all, or just meditation?
No,
You can go to
there
like
are a lot
meditate.
of temples, monasteries. Actually, they are called stupas, and they are stupas. They are white buildings, dome sort of things, and there is a temple sort of pointed structure at the top. And yeah, stupas are a major thing in Buddhism culture. They go there, they pray, and the major attraction in Kathmandu as well. It is one of the World Heritage Site. The Bauddha, it's called Bauddha, and there is
Uh-huh.
yeah, there is a monastery, huge monastery, and all around Nepal, the small monasteries of Buddhist culture. There are a lot of them. Temples are also a
Mm-hmm.
lot, but yeah, the monastery, the small stupas cover a huge space, mainly in terms of
Okay.
the Buddhism culture. Yeah, Buddhism in Nepal is not only concerned with the meditation and spiritual things, but a lot of praying and all those things as well.
Okay, okay. So like I think in praying as in like the whole point of praying to some extent is like meditating, right? To some extent, I can say that.
I'm not exactly sure about that, but I think Buddhist culture. What I have learned or what I know is that Buddhist culture revolve around praying and the spiritual things.
Mm.
Yeah,
My point, like prayer as a phenomena, like like the whole point of prayer to some extent is to sit at a one place and just like calm your mind, meditate to some extent. That's what I'm trying to say.
that is a primary thing, I guess, into Buddhism.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Is India?
So like,
I
hmm.
think I'm not
Go
sure,
on.
but is are the people in India following Buddhism, or is this a major religion, a part of major religion? I think Hinduism is the major religion, but yeah, Buddhism. Is there any?
I think there are, but I guess the number is not that big.
Okay.
I think that people are still who, and also like this is something that I've been noticing is like people are slowly trying to accept other culture and religion. So they pick things that make sense from maybe Hinduism or Sikhism or Islam or maybe Buddhism or Jainism, like good things that could be that you can apply in your life. And then you kind of try to live a ideal life in some sense, right? So that is something a kind of a shift that I'm noticing. I don't know if that's happening in Nepal, but in India to some extent, well, at least over the internet, it is definitely people are coming forward and they're saying that okay, maybe I like this thing in this particular culture or religion, and I think you should we should learn something from it, right? To some extent.
Yeah,
So
I
that is
think
definitely
the
happening. Yeah.
growth. Yeah, yeah. I think the growth of the religion, I think, revolves around the positive aspect to be picked from that religion, I guess. I think the spirituality thing, the meditation thing is also dragging people into Buddhism, I guess. The praying thing,
Hmm.
the spiritual thing.
Hmm.
I think that is a major attraction for people getting into Buddhism. And I guess in some part of Sikkim or in the Himalayan ranges of India, there are
Hmm.
Buddhist monks and people who are into Buddhism, I guess. I'm not exactly
Hmm.
sure about that, but what I have watched in videos and documentaries, that's in that. Yeah.
Hmm. Is there any like a random question, but is there any like a dish that a lot of people don't know about that exists in Nepal, and like maybe it would be underrated or maybe बहुत लोगों को नहीं पता होगा, and you will like कि when you come to Nepal you should definitely try it rather than the obvious ones. Is there something?
There are a lot of dishes that are,
Okay.
I think,
Main
there
thing.
are a lot of community based the dishes here in Nepal. Mainly
Okay.
the national food, which is considered as dhindo and gundruk. I don't think that you have heard about it. It's called dhindo and gundruk. Gundruk means the do you know spinach of mustard and all of these things? You know that, right? So साग होता है ना, उसे सुखाते हैं पहले, and after that uh, they smash it. उसे मतलब एक ऐसा चीज होता है, कूटना बोलते हैं उसको, ओखल समथिंग या उसे कूट के मतलब वो डिक्रीज होके थोड़ा सा बन जाता है ना, एंड उसके बाद दे क्रॉस इट इन बिटवीन स्टोन्स एंड या not really, or not always stones, but they put into a certain container. I mean, for example, this is a container and they put into it and they smash it and they press it with stones and all of these things. Like they sorry kind of because something more, it's a yeah thick kind yeah, of yeah, stick made of rock, and yeah, they get it like a ball, and yeah, then they will kind of smash it smash it make it and like a yeah, yeah. They keep it for around a week or so, and after that वो थोड़ा थोड़ा amilo means I mean it gets a bit sour in taste, and yeah, that is a primary dish, and उसे फिर से सुखाते हैं, मतलब
अच्छा
या उसे पहले सुखाते, उसके बाद क्रश करते, उसके बाद निकाल
फिर
के
से सुखाते हैं.
फिर से सुखा देते, एंड या दैट दे कॉट इट इन स्मॉलर पीसेस, एंड that is later cooked with other masalas and all of those things, and after that's ready. And dhindo is something which is prepared from there is a food called millet. Do you know millet? Millet, yeah. Millet is there are it is a usual food grown here in Nepal, and it's like paddy, but it's not paddy. But
Okay.
it is there are small grains, rounded grains, and they are crushed, and उसके बाद वो फ्लोर निकलता है ना, फ्लोर मतलब वो क्या होता है? I don't
Know the word.
पिठो
Know the
बोलते हैं
word.
I guess.
Like
पिठो
पिट्ठू
बोलते हैं I
पिट्ठू.
guess.
अच्छा पिट्ठू बोलते हैं. Okay, okay.
After that, that is smashed and that is cooked as oats. Do you know oats?
Okay. Oh, हाँ, I know what. Yeah, I
I
know
think
what.
it's English term, not a Nepal term, I guess.
हाँ, it's an English term. Yeah.
Oats जैसे ही उसे पकाते हैं. I mean, they first they boil some water, and after that they put that flour in that, and they smash, and they smash for a long time, and it's a rubbery type of thing which gets prepared at the end, and they lock that, and they yeah, you do watch some of the videos at around Dido and Gundruk. That is a national dish here.
Okay. National dish. Okay. But like more like I'm asking more for like a dish जिसको उतने लोग जानते नहीं है, but it's
Okay,
definitely worth trying.
okay,
Is
there
there
is
any?
something called bara.
Yeah. You were saying.
There is something called bara.
Bara. Okay.
That is a dish from the place of the eastern part of Nepal. That's prepared from dal, you know,
Okay.
वो काला दाल होता है ना, उसका वो फिर से क्रॉस करके वो पीठो जैसे मटेरियल बनाते हैं, एंड उसके बाद दे प्रिपेयर अ डिश फ्रॉम that material, that food. That's called bara, and there are a lot of local foods. I mean, they eat chura. You know chura? Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
chura, and there is something
Yeah.
called batmas.
Okay.
Newari dishes are really famous. The Newari dishes of bof is consumed a lot here in Nepal, in Kathmandu area.
Okay. Waffles.
Bof means it's a meat, a buffalo
अच्छा,
meat.
it's a meat. Buffalo meat.
Okay,
Okay.
buffalo meat is massively consumed in the area of Kathmandu, mainly in the area of Kathmandu. It's a major.
Okay. Okay.
Bop momos are really popular. Bop momos.
Okay.
Okay, they
Okay.
are really
Got it.
popular things.
So like a lot of one thing that I kind of noticed from you sharing all the like types of meals. One thing that's some way or the other very connected to like nature. Like either you have to crush them in the rocks, or maybe even momos to some extent are made like with a very minimum use of products, like use of things, right? Like the vegetables and the like maida and all. So बहुत minimalistic तरीके से you make food. That's definitely something I've noticed. Is that really the case, or I'm just maybe wrong
Okay,
at
the
my
use of
hypothesis?
technology and the use of machines have.
Like the traditional foods, I mean, like yeah, like I mean, not necessarily the foods that been made now, like in the hotels and all, but the like the traditional food that comes out of
Yeah, they are.
like Nepal are very in some way or the other surrounded by nature. That you use a lot of things that are already available in your environment to make that. Not necessarily like how do I say this? Like
Mainly the
Punjab mein
traditional
ऐसे
equipments,
हाँ
mainly the traditional way
the
of
equipments are
making
very
food.
traditional.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, totally. The culture of using mills means the place where all the grains are crushed.
Yeah, yeah.
That's also something which is may not be just working in a lot of rural part of the Nepal, a lot of rural part of the Nepal, the primitive way of plowing the field
Mhm.
with ox and buffaloes. That is also a primary thing. The traditional theme is also there, still there. The traditional theme of cooking, the traditional theme of preparing the dishes, the traditional thing of agriculture is also still there. Although being a mountainous country, the access of those tractors and the equipment is not easy in the Himalayas and the rural part
हाँ
for
हाँ हाँ
the
makes
agriculture as
makes
well,
sense.
because
Yeah.
there are terrains. So in those terrains, yeah, in front,
Mhm.
exactly those tractors and all the machineries won't work. So still primitive way of farming, still the primitive way of growing foods and consuming is still there, and I think that won't go soon.
That won't go soon. Yeah. I think there should be always a touch of your culture going forward. I think
Sorry.
that's something I really believe in. Like some aspects of your culture should always stay with the country in some sense. Like maybe it could be food, it could be a art, it could be like like in that sense, a sense of like a folk music, a folk dance in that way. So it seems great that like the Nepal like kind of holds that still, like in terms of food at least,
Yeah,
right?
food, the
Yeah.
culture thing, the way people celebrate the part of harmony, all revolve around the Nepalese culture and the traditional. Uh, I think the Western
Mhm.
influence is obviously playing a huge role. I think it's the same for India as well. The Western influence is playing a huge role in the terms of celebration, in terms of having a conversation with people. I think that's playing a huge role. But the traditional influence is still there. The way people wear the traditional clothes are still there as a part of occasion. Although they are not the regular lifestyle, but as a part of occasion, they are still there, and I think it's being preserved. I think it's same for India as well. Please do share.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. Like it's diverse, I would say. Like it has a mix of the things that where people have adopted from Western culture as well, but it still holds strongly the virtues or maybe the old traditions of India. That's still like some aspects of going extinct, I wouldn't lie, but some are really strong.
Yeah, I do remember the watching the videos of South and the West Bombay things.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
major stereotypes about South Bombay and South Delhi people
Yeah. Yeah.
being
Yeah.
majorly hugely
Even I
influenced
have
by
even
Western
I
culture.
have heard that stereotypes. Yeah.
Yeah,
And like I've yet to experience all of those, but maybe
looking
I
forward, obviously.
looking forward to it for sure. Yeah. So also go on. You were saying something.
Okay, please do continue. I was just telling ki, getting into the experiences of the background, study background, the work background, and getting into the work and the what we have experience. Our experience mainly getting the experience of work, studies, and all the things. But please do continue.
Like I didn't get your point. What you're trying to say?
Okay, I was trying to say that okay, let's get into the things of around our studies and the work things, your internship experiences, your college experiences, and all of the things.
Like
Maybe
mine?
your business experience, and yeah,
Cool, cool.
that
So
would
I have few
yeah.
experience. Huh, go on.
Please, please.
Go on. You were saying.
Okay, that would help us connect more and maybe get into a bit more of a flow in the conversation.
Well, like, don't you think there's already a flow in the conversation?
I'm sure, man. It's been around 1 hour and 2 minutes already. I'm just checking the recording. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think that. When did 1 hour already went off?
That's cool. That's cool. But my college, I have like I'm in college the second year, so I'm like I'm studying BCom honors, so that's my major are accounting and
BCom
finance.
means Bachelor's in
So
Computers.
bachelor's of non commerce.
Okay, commerce. Same here.
Yeah, so
Not
it's my
BCom is not my actual course, but I'm into business management.
business management. Yeah, I saw that. So like my majors are accounts and finance. Apart from that, I've worked in like two internships, but I like to keep the work experience as a more like a personal talk rather than the
Okay,
podcast.
okay, okay.
Like Hollywood, we need to connect. So I'll share the things, but sharing is an experience. Like I've worked in two tech startups before. One was EdTech, one was working in the more uh, solving giving solutions for the machine learning problems that when you make models and all according to that. So a quota, and I'm now also working with a startup in the Web3 space. So that's currently yeah. And other thing is that there are other things as well that I like to keep off camera and tell you in person or maybe in text or call. But so that's my basically my experience.
I have
Like
a small
overall,
question here.
go on.
I'm curious about that. Ki you are into commerce and you are doing Web3. Okay, how is
Yeah.
that interrelated?
I am curious about a lot of things, bro. Like, like I always give this example. Maybe this week I will be learning about neurobiology. Next week I will be learning accounting. उसके बाद I will be learning Web3. उसके बाद I will be learning psychology. I'm just interested in a lot of things. So whichever interest me, I join.
Curiosity is
I
the major.
curiosity. I think 2 3 days back I was just listening to a lecture on YouTube about product management. And then I was not yesterday, not day before that, I was reading something about World War II. So I just listen and read and watch video of a lot of things. मेरे को बहुत सारी चीजें में interest है. So that's the thing. There's no interrelated to that. Like commerce is that because I am been from a commerce background, so that as a degree makes sense. But other things like the work experience and all, I don't know. I'm not into coding yet. Like I want to learn the whole development things and all that I'm working on. But I've worked in some sense in the business aspects of the startups I've worked in. To some extent, वो core में नहीं काम किया as in tech, like that you build like products, you work in the back end. So both that I have to learn. But I've worked in those environments for sure.
What I recall is that I used to write in my bio that curiosity above all.
Huh.
And I think that
So
is the main
yeah.
aspect of maybe growth, I guess. The major pillar for growth is always curiosity, I guess. And
Hmm.
I guess my biggest learning would be the curiosity thing from this podcast, man. The major one.
Really?
Yeah, man. Um, I have to think that being curious is always a powerful thing. I remember a quote or a saying from Mr. Beast that you won't be able to hire someone to imagine for you. You can hire anyone,
Huh.
but being curious,
To work
being
for you.
imaginative,
But
yeah, you can hire anyone. For example, if I imagined of making a water bottle, I can hire people to do this, but I can hire someone to imagine
people
it.
to imagine.
So
Yeah.
curiosity, the learning around all of the stuff, the new stuff is always,
Mhm.
I think, good, man. You may be
Yeah. Like
creating businesses in Web3, you may be creating business in neurobiology. That would be on a huge thing, and that's only possible with curiosity, I guess.
yeah, it is. Like I used. Hmm. So that's like I don't like to brag a lot, but हाँ यही है जो सही है. Like I'm interested in a lot of things. I like to low key and just talk to people. Like one of the reasons why I also started podcast was because of this. Like because I'm not Shah Rukh Khan, so I don't get access to everybody, right? So I have to do something to get access. So that's why I started podcast so I can meet to a lot of people and just ask them questions.
The
So I
name is
never.
also really good, man. Inexperienced podcast. Talking with all of us.
Yeah.
I'm an inexperienced guy. I don't have a lot of experiences, although I
Huh.
have walked in. couple of spaces, but I don't have any experiences to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Specific
Yeah.
experiences to
Yeah.
brag
Yeah.
about, I guess. So
Yeah.
mainly connecting with all of the inexperienced people, we find relationship and we build something, right? So that was also my primary concern about getting into LinkedIn. And previously I used to interact with two people every single day in LinkedIn, maybe getting
Okay.
into calls and all of the things. That was my primary thing. But lately I've got into a couple of stops, walk
Other things.
stuff. So I'm getting into all of
Yeah.
those things. But I'd yeah, curiosity always brings in.
Yeah. Really. That's cool. That's cool. So like, if you like, even I can recommend few things for you to
Okay, sure,
cater
man.
later on in the conversation. But, you were saying something.
Yeah, please.
Like I'll give the recommendation later, but let's just continue with the
Hey, okay,
conversation.
okay. I was preparing pen and I was going to
I'll
have
let
that.
you know. I'll
Sure,
let
sure,
you know.
sure, sure.
So I also saw that you're building cap.
Yeah,
So what you're doing with it?
part-time thing, but yeah,
But still,
yeah. I have been working on this thing for last 1 year, I guess, around a year. It's into a good pace for around a year. And yeah, initially we started with selling frames. I mean, the physical frames, the posters. For example, this can be an example, right? This is a. I'm just giving an example of a frame, and we used to design things. Oh,
okay.
we I actually was interested in graphic designing, so the graphic designing thing brought cap into the existence in the first place. So I
Okay.
used to design different things, and I used to think of maybe making that into life. So that was a primary thing of starting cap. So I got connected with two of my friends from the same college. We are in the same class, and we
Okay.
started that thing. And initially
Can
we used to
you tell
do
their name?
frames. We used to design things, and we used to print that out
Hmm.
and frame that, and we used to ship to the customer. So that was the primary thing. And later we got into selling books as well.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's
So the other two friends, if you're listening or watching to this, hello from my side. Go on. Go on.
yeah, they will obviously be watching
Huh?
this. But
Yeah.
right now we have just to hold that into the place. And
Okay.
although we still are fulfilling the usual orders, the organic orders, we get one or two orders in a week. So we are just fulfilling those only. We are not actively marketing. We are not actively posting ads or all of those things right
No.
currently,
Mm-hmm.
because we thought that key building a startup needs a bit of experience, I guess. So uh,
Okay. I disagree to some extent, but I also agree. But go on.
yeah, not really a huge sort of experience about working or building
Mm-hmm.
working with corporates. But we thought, let's get into our roots. So what
Yeah.
is the problem that we are facing, how can we improve it, and we'll obviously be getting back. But right now we're just fulfilling the organic orders only, the
Mm-hmm.
organic orders
Got it.
from we get 2 3 orders. It goes up and down, but we get around 3 or 4 orders, 2 or 3 orders in a week. That is a usual thing.
Got it. See, like, this is something that I've learned. Okay. Even if you're trying something new or you're trying to build something new, by definition, you will be underqualified to do that.
Yeah, always.
You won't be qualified to build it. So, like, you will never have the experience to do it to some extent. But I also agree having some knowing
Idea
how to
about.
how knowing how to navigate through things helps. So like even I tried to build something and I also came to a conclusion that maybe I need to know something more to start this, so I stopped that project.
Yeah,
So I can relate to you on that, but this is something I still tell to myself that even I'm going to start something new, I will always in a place I will always be underqualified to do that in some sense.
exactly. I do agree that. And what I have experienced is that capital thing is not a primary concern, but team building would be a primary concern for building anything. That is my major learning from working on building my own thing. And
Team is important, like definitely for sure. But I think capital is also one of the important things that you need to keep in your mind for sure.
but I may be wrong, but I consider team above the
That's
capital thing,
not
I guess.
same.
That is a
Same. My
primary thing, I
point is
guess.
like
Uh-huh.
you need both. You
Yeah,
need both. You
yeah,
can't just run on one.
yeah.
Like you can have money and not a good team, you will run out of capital eventually. And if you have a good team but not good capital, you will eventually run out of business. So you can't, you need both to some extent.
Yeah, but I
Ah,
may, I'm sure that I'm totally opposing you on this, but yeah, I would still think the way I think is that, for example, if I have a good
hmm.
team, then I can obviously be working on getting funds and maybe going
Fair,
to
fair.
capitalist. Yeah,
Agreed,
yeah.
agreed. Hmm.
But I will still agree that capital is also a really primary aspect for
I'm just
building.
saying that you need both.
Yeah,
Like you can keep
yeah.
team
It's
as your number one.
yeah,
There's nothing wrong.
yeah.
Even I
I
agree.
totally
You
agree,
need
man.
good people to run the money, but you
Yeah,
need both. You can't
yeah,
like neglect one thing.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I'm trying to say.
yeah.
चाहिए तो दोनों ही क्वालिटी भी
चाहिए
चाहिए
दोनों
but
ही.
हाँ ये दोनों चाहिए
And
हाँ
yeah,
तो
that
वो
is the
तो
end statement to conclude this. चाहिए तो दोनों ही.
है okay
Yeah, man.
common ground है वो हाँ
Yeah, and
सही है
yeah, do share your experience on building and stopping, and that will obviously help me and the people watching also.
the project
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I started a talent management agency when I completed my school. So before getting to college and after completing my school, I started working a project that was a talent management agency where you basically manage content creators and you bring business for them. So I worked on it for like 9 to 10 months, more than that actually, and got connected to some client but couldn't bring a lot of business for them. So I just when I kind of ek to I think I was just a kid, bro. So I just thought कि like तुरंत नहीं हो रहा है, तो I just lag out of went out of motivation to continue. So I stopped. So it was just a naive decision. But I just also realized that okay, a lot of things that I don't know to some extent how to kind of do things in a more organized manner, how to reach out to people or like doing some more research. So small things. That's why I started working with a startup to learn all those. But before that, I'm still happy that I did it. I'm still happy that I to some extent I failed. But point being, it was stopping that was a naive decision to some extent. And I could have worked that on a part time. So I could have maybe built something else. But so that was the main thing. Ki I tried out. I realized ki this is the things that I need to work on. And rather than working on those and side by side doing the project, I thought ki I should need to drop out the project for some reason, which I later realized I shouldn't have. Maybe I should have worked on. But maybe I'll someday I'll start that again. But for now, this is something I'm building right now.
I think the
and I was
main, yeah,
gone
I think the main conclusion is that you started, you learned, and you failed. Still, you are happy. I think that is the main thing, I guess. So,
हाँ
I mean, the experiences from doing a lot of things. I remember myself working in a company for around 4 to 5 months, and I didn't got paid a single penny. So that was an experience, and that was a complete mistake. And I don't recommend
Hmm.
anyone to work in, for example, if you are getting into internship as well, so I don't recommend anyone doing unpaid internship. So experience always counts, I guess. So my
makes sense
experience with building cap, and I'm still working on it, is that what have the major learnings, I would say, is that building a best product is always better than trying to decrease the price. Initially we used to focus on making the price low, and that got that led to making the product cheap as well, which I mean the unreliable
Quality.
product on, I mean not the best product. So that
Hmm.
was also the primary learning, working on the product. What I think is that people would be ready to pay any cost for the product. If the product is good, the price won't be a major consideration, I guess, if that is providing value to the customers. And that was also a primary learning. Team
Okay.
building is the major one. And yeah,
mm-hmm.
I would never say I'm failing with cap, I'm not getting a lot of clients in cap, but I would
Mhm.
obviously say that I learned a lot of things than what I have lost,
Mhm.
and although I've still been working on it, we are still trying to figure out how to make it more effective, and yeah, all of these things.
Makes
Makes
sense.
sense.
Like,
Like,
just hold
just
on
hold
a
on a
second. Huh?
second. Huh?
Okay, fine. Are you checking that is this electricity still on or not? I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like I said, sometimes when I record it this time, the electricity cuts off. So it's annoying sometimes. Yeah. The point being, like you said that I, to some extent, disagree that customer will pay anything with the cost, like for the product. Like I think, like if the product justifies it, people will buy it. But I just think there are a lot many metrics before someone will choose to pay anything, right?
Right?
So
So
that's
that's
Yeah,
definitely
definitely
a
a
thing,
thing.
But
I do totally agree and respect your opinion as well. And I
uh,
think the major thing we also did not worked on initially was that targeting a customer base is also a major aspect, I guess. For example, if I'm building a luxury product, then my target
mhm.
should not be the one in the lower income class. That may be a wrong metric to consider, but building a business, I think that is a major consideration. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Primarily focusing on what is your major customer base, what is trying to figure out the product market fit as well. I think that is a major consideration. What do you say on this?
Makes sense. Like, you need to be clear with what you are building and for whom you are building. वो तो clarity तो होनी चाहिए. And that maybe you will find out through trial and errors for sure. Maybe just doing a market research. So to some extent, you're not anymore building a absolutely a new product. I don't know. See that happening to some extent. Even people said Chat GPT is a new product. Well, I understand like in it's definitely innovative, but like there have been talks about that things for a while now. So I think it's a mix of the old product and figuring out something new and adding the both, building a new thing. But you need to kind of do a research and figure out कि competition में कौन है, मेरा जो audience है, like the whole my customer, who are my customers, what's their earning, what age they are in, and I'll share one case study with you. Just hold on a sec. The electricity came, bro. Yeah. So, do you follow Formula One?
Formula 1, no, but my
No. Okay.
brother do
So,
follow Formula 1, and sometimes I find him watching the racing
the
and all of
races,
these
yeah.
things.
Cool, cool. So, I think around 2010 or something, the owner of Formula One was an old guy. Okay. And he said that I want to be like, there were very restriction about social medias and around that you can't go into the paddock, basically, जहाँ पे drivers होते हैं and the cars, the garage basically, with social media. The drivers couldn't post a lot of things. So there was many restrictions about social media. And the guy who owned Formula One at that time was said that I'm not interested in paying the whole, like marketing it to the younger people because they will not bring the money. Formula One is a very expensive sport. The tickets are very high. The price is very high. So it makes sense financially that the younger people won't bring a lot of money. Older people will. So he said that rather than paying to a young guy, I will pay to a 70-year-old guy who can give me money. So I'll market it to the that guy. But that time was Formula One also was not making a lot of money. So I think I might be using the wrong name, and I'm sorry if I do that. So if somebody listen and watching to this, so correct me. I think it was Liberty Media, I guess, who was the organization who bought the majority shares of Formula One, and they changed how they look at the audience now. So they started using a lot of social media. They started using a marketing. So a lot and lot many people kind of start watching yeah, Formula One. At least the sport can get into masses. It was not a very mass content back then. It was a very niche, like people who are nuts about cars, they used to watch it, right? And then, and then, like then a show came called Drive to Survive. It's on Netflix. It basically documents the whole season of a Formula One, and it puts some sense of drama and all. It covers the life of the drivers and their teams, and the winning team and the losing team. And so they played as an advertisement game. Will try to bring more viewership to the sport, and that worked like a charm. Now they're now they're more younger uh, audiences than the older one, and their revenue just blew up. So this is something that you need to also figure out. Like, what trying are you making a mass product? Are you making a very niche product? Right? Like in some extent, cred is a very niche product.
Yeah,
Like,
to the
you
top
can say
1%,
that
I think.
To some extent, you can say that people usually a lot of people are using for credit cards can use that app, right? But if you see a product like maybe a detergent product, it's used all over the country, right? So that's a very massive product. What product are you building? Whom you are trying to sell? That detergent also comes in 10 rupees packet and a 50 rupees packet. So it comes for both people, right? People, someone who can buy 10 and someone who can buy 50. So you need to figure out, you need to do some research, you need to figure out कि किसके लिए क्या बन रहा है, right? In some kind of product. Yeah.
Mainly
So
figuring out is the product really fit to the audiences that I'm trying to build.
the first thing that you need to do is to kind of figure out कि product market fit.
Yeah,
वो तो पहली चीज है उसके बाद
I,
ही कुछ होगी.
I was trying to use the same term. I think
Okay.
product market fit is the primary concern that should be considered. For example, if I'm building a water bottle, then I think I must consider that who are the people that who are going to consume this water. Normally, this bottle comes for around 40 rupees, and there is a usual bottle that comes for 20 rupees, right? So the main consideration should be am I focusing on the which income group as well. I think focusing on the income group, the people from the specific community or the mass community. I think focusing on the product and the audiences, the primary focus should be audience, I guess, before building a product or while launching a product.
I like agree. Go on, keep on going.
Okay, yeah,
हाँ,
I was trying to add key, getting into that specific case of Formula One. I think the marketing to the younger generations. The previously, I guess, from what you are back from what I got from your explanation is that it was previously just familiar. It was a familiar sport for older people, but later with the marketing technique, the way the new founders or the new owners marketed it, it gets into a young audience, and the marketing went off, and the values and the sport got off, right?
yeah, yeah.
I guess the marketing,
That
the
really
way
helped.
it
Yeah.
is it was marketed really played a huge role, I
Hmm.
guess, in that aspect.
Also to that point, I was watching a lecture, as I mentioned, about product management. So the lecture was about how to build a product that scales and sells, right? So one of the things that the guy who was taking the class was also a investor, right? So he said that every product that comes into, like, for the funding, one thing that they really look into is that MVP market, sorry, not MVP, uh, consumer market fit, right? Basically, product market fit. That's something that they look into, and they what their criteria to some extent is like they see the whether the product fits the market. Are they making some sense of money? So if they're matching both, the only thing that you require is funding to scale it, right? So if you're already making money, there's a need for that product. There's a demand for that product in the market, and you build a product that kind of suits that. So only thing that kind of holding you back is money. So I will give you that money.
The major criteria for investing the sales metrics and the market fit and the demand metrics. Yeah, I think
So, like, what are the major investing source in, like, in Nepal? Like in there, like there are few firms that
capital
actively
and the investors
actively
also.
invest, angel investors
Yeah.
and all.
So like, is there a form like in Nepal, or like it comes from India or some other country?
Okay, in Nepal, actually, startup culture is just taking a pic. Uh, you can consider
Okay.
that India, I think, picked it's a startup thing and all the startup culture, the tech startup culture in last couple of years, right? It recently tossed the mark of 100 unicorn startups, right? Uh, I'm not sure about that, but I think it recently tossed the unicorn startup point, and in Nepal, the startup are just picking up, and the major sources for investment if I have to raise investment, I either consult angel investor. There are certain investment firms which are just getting into the startup pitches in the universities, the startup pitches in around the cities. There are a lot of different companies that organizes startup pitches. That may be the influence of the Shark Tank and all of those things. But yeah, they have been organizing startup pitches, and they have been selecting the startups from around the country. And yeah, the major source are the angel investors, the investment firms, and still the traditional companies, the manufacturing based companies, they are still being funded by banks. The loan is the major part of funding for industries. But with the imbalance in with the ongoing, maybe I don't call it recession, but a dip into the worldwide economy, that's really affecting the loans and all those things. But still, loans are still the primary ones for funding manufacturing based the large companies. But the startups are being funded by angel investors and all the investing firms.
Got it.
I think it's the same case in India as well, right?
Like India may like there are a lot many now investing firms for sure. Like loan still says to some extent as a source, but like investment firms are there, angel investing. So that's the space also like picking up a lot.
Yeah,
So
diluting
maybe both of
the
the
equity is not is still not considered a major thing for the businesses
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
large business spaces. I guess equity is the
really
major
concerned
portion.
about going
Yeah,
like they're
the
really
concern
concerned
towards
about
equity, and still the
it.
ESOPs and all those things are still not in practice in the company, in the startup field as well. ESOPs are still not in practice, but gradually picking up. I think
that
ESOPs
is
is
true.
a normal culture in India.
Hmm.
Distributing shares to the employees, all those things.
Employees.
Employees.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is
like
that
Yeah,
it
like it
a,
happens.
happens.
is that a normal thing?
I think I may have the facts wrong, but I think it happens in larger companies. It's not like this is what has been my observation. If you're working in a startup, it depends of what position you come into. In a lot of startups, like if you're also bringing in some capital, so even if you're working as a like taking if you draw out salary, but when you come in the company, you bring out some capital. So that is one case I have seen happening. They get some share of the company. Uh, in larger company, ESOP happens. I'm not really aware of how particular that process is कि कितना वो frequent है. So I think it would be wrong to comment on that, but it happens. It's not that it's not a unusual thing. It happens. So that's the thing.
Okay, got it. I think it's still picking off here, but the growth in the technology, mainly I think the ESOPs and all those things happens in technology industry, I guess, not really in the
Yeah.
manufacturing ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
the
Prakash,
So Prakash, so like when I started, I didn't know like we will talk about so many things. Like
okay.
I
I
thought,
think yeah, I think
hmm, yeah, yeah, cool, cool. So I was saying like when we started, I wasn't really sure ki like we will cover so many things. I was thought ki like I'll talk about culture, but we like talked about a lot of things.
yeah, it
So
was a fun experience, man. We
yeah,
still surrounding in 1 and 30.
yeah,
Yeah, man. I think going with the flow and speaking about the things. I remember myself having a conversation with two of my friends who are my team members in CAP. We used to conversate.
your voice is not coming properly.
Okay,
Huh,
we used to conversate for hours. We used to start at around 9 and we used to stay till 3 or 4 in the night, just
bro.
speaking about random stuffs, trying to
Yeah,
figure
yeah,
out
random
things,
thing.
trying to walk on, maybe watching a
Yeah, yeah.
YouTube video and figuring out what is going on, what are the strategies they have
Mm-hmm.
been using. And yeah, I think conversation and going with the flow always makes very.
Yeah, yeah. Cool, cool. So, so what's your right way to pronounce your last name?
KAF Kafle.
Not like spelling the like pronunciation.
Kafle.
Kafle. Okay. So Prakash Kafle,
Yeah.
thank you for being
Thank you so
inexperienced.
much for
It
having
was
me,
a
man. It
lovely.
was an amazing experience. This is my first experiences recording and talking with someone. It's being recorded and I've been
being
talking
recorded. Yeah.
random things randomly without anything
Random thing.
in mind.
Yeah. So thank you for doing this, Prakash.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being on experience. We will do this again sometime.
Sure, man. Always. For the longest time, I was also thinking about starting a podcast with 3 of my friends, and yeah, still in the to-do list, but we may work on someday.
Yeah. Okay, then. Bye.
Sure, man. Have a good one. Bye bye.